Here we go. Hi, everybody. Let's get started. So tonight, this is our board meeting for the Math and Science Academy Board of Directors. The date is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. And we will open this meeting at 6:02. So first of all, let's start with our reading of our vision and mission, and our student representative here tonight, Sega. Would you like to read those for us?
Our vision is to be an innovative, sustainable model of academic excellence for all students that creates well-rounded lifelong learners and global citizens. And our mission is we provide accelerated and inclusive curricula and instruction in all subjects with an emphasis on math and science.
Thank you. Isaac, you want to read for us again the land acknowledgement? Thank you.
We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the land of the Ochiti-Shakoi, the people of the Seven Council Fires, and of the Bidiwa Kantanwan Band. The existence of the Dakota Oeti have lived in this area since time immemorial and before the U.S. war was created and the state of Minnesota was created. They lived with Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan. They were caretakers of the land and lived in harmony. They belonged to the land, and the land did not belong to them. It's within MSA's responsibility as an academic institution to disseminate knowledge about Indigenous people and their history and relationship with this land. MSA works to build a relationship with Indigenous students and their families through academic pursuits and historical recognition.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call. So Kari Kerner here, Brian Linsmeyer. Here. Sarah Harms. Here. Jen Nice. Present. Isaac Leonardi.
Here.
Mark Gressa.
Here.
Leanne Ahmed.
Here.
Mary Yap.
Here.
Student Representative Sega Shabatu.
Here.
And Ryan Cunningham could not be here tonight. All right, open forum. I didn't receive any open forum requests, so we'll move on from that. Next up, we'll approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I will move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second?
I can second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, thoughts on the agenda tonight?
Just a point of clarification on 11E. It states under our action items that there's a contract, but I did not see a contract included in the documents.
Oh, good response. So the Polar Board presentation, which is also above, we were going to do that earlier, the presentation?
The presentations earlier, I didn't attach the contract, we're still
Okay.
working through the last little bits of
Okay.
it.
Okay.
To make sure we're all set.
So if we don't have a contract to look at, then we should table that until next month? Is that what I'm understanding? Because how do we approve it? How is a contract under the action items if we don't have one to view?
We can vote on it at the next meeting if you want to.
Okay, then I would like to move that to
Okay.
next meeting.
So move 11E, the actual, we'll do the presentation tonight, but then we'll approve the contract in February. Thank you. Anything else on the agenda? Okay, so we will approve the agenda. The motion is to approve the agenda with the movement of 11E to the February meeting. Is that okay with you, Brian?
Yes, that is okay.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, move on. Are there any conflicts of interest tonight? None heard? Great. Approval, we need to approve the December minutes. Is there a motion to approve the December minutes?
I will move to approve the December minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any commentary from the December minutes? No other thoughts, comments? They look good. Okay, so we are moving to approve the December. All in favor? Aye, opposed, abstained, motion passes. Thank you. All right, we're going to recognize some student, the,
DECA, and I don't know why they're not here. So
Okay.
they were invited. So tonight's board recognition is for our DECA team. It is their first competition that they competed in, and we did extremely well. We had a number of students take first place in the district, and then we had a few second place winners, and we did have, 7 advanced to state. So congratulations to Ms. Deuce and the DECA team, and I will make sure that they have heard the board recognition. I don't know
Okay.
where they are tonight, so I'm
All
sorry
right.
about that, but congratulations to the DECA team.
yeah, that's great, that was wonderful. Good job for them, thank you. All right, next up is our consent agenda. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda tonight?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, is there a second?
I can second.
All right. Any discussion on what's in the consent agenda?
Just a question on 9B.
Okay,
It says review, but it also says revised, but when I was looking, I didn't see any red lines. So is that reviewing or are we revising?
Which one are you talking about?
9B.
9B, I.
So religion and cultural observances?
Yep.
Mhm.
So it's under review, but it says revised in the title of it, but I didn't find any red lines.
It was not revised.
Okay,
It was not revised.
So we're just reviewing?
It was just reviewed. I don't know why that was in
so
the
we
title of
should
the
probably
PDF.
change
Well, it won't.
agenda so that the agenda
Well, that's not
adequately
the agenda
reflects.
item though, that's just the title of the document.
Okay,
Yeah, on the top it says it was reviewed, well, today. Revised was November of 2024, so I don't see any revision stated inside the actual policy.
That might be a
Right.
typo in the title. So-
Yeah,
It's probably just the same title, they just didn't take out reviewed and take out revised and put reviewed, they just probably changed the date.
okay.
does that make sense, Mary, that up in that top left corner?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is up, the gray thing says revised, so I was looking for red lines and. didn't
Right.
see any.
Yeah, I don't see it on the actual policy itself, the revision.
Right.
So, I think we're okay with that. Anything else about the consent agenda? Okay, so all in favor of approving the consent agenda, aye? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right, consent agenda passes. Next up, we will do our reports. Student reports, how are things going?
Everything at MSA is going pretty well right now. And Ryan had this report from all the activities of semester 1 that he wanted me to present.
Okay.
So first off, our athletics have gone very well this year, especially since we are in a stronger conference this year compared to last year. And we've been able to hold our own against these harder competitions. And in the fall, we had 2 students in All-State, Liam Caldwell in cross country, and then OCN, this thing, Chicoya, I'm sorry for butchering that, but in girls soccer. And then swimming has also gone well this semester, and they've had a good amount of MSA students making all conference lists, and they're also planning on sending some MSA students to state in February. And then our clubs have also done very well this year. From some quotes from the Triumph is that our club has been performing quite well this year. We split up the meetings between senior and junior to accommodate for space during meetings, as we have over 100 members this year. And the concert setups and takedowns have gone well. And they'd also like the board to know that they have the Sounds of Hope concert on March 3rd, and they're going to be holding the annual food drive in the few weeks before the Sounds of Hope concert. Computer Club has been doing well, and the focus on computer electronics so far mostly is what's been the main focus. There's been a dip in attendance because of Friday activities, but they said that this is a usual occurrence. And then Web has been working on our next round of advisory visits, They missed their December visit due to the distance learning, and they are excited to get back to meeting with sixth graders. And their goal in December was a service project to send holiday cards to children in the hospitals. Their January goal will be to reconnect with kids and to do check-ins on how the first half of the year is going. And this will help them to figure out future activities, and they're also gear up for acts of kindness in February, and a few web leaders will also be volunteering at the open house as greeters and guides. And then the zoology club has been going strong since the start of the year. Students have been building model enclosures, going for nature walks, and learning about ecosystems native to Minnesota. And they also plan on doing another field trip, something that was very popular last year. And then the Theater Guild has been doing very well. Their fall production of the Addams Family musical was fun and exciting, and their club is now open to all ages because of a bylaw change, and they're excited to let new younger students join them. And then investment clubs is, although it's very recently and new, they've had a lot of success in educating many students in investing concepts and how to get started in that. And then from my side, I was able to successfully create like a scholarship list and resources for students that's been posted in the class of 2026 Google Classroom, and that's also going to be posted in the class of 2027 classroom when that's created in February.
That's great. What a nice resource to have.
Very good.
Sure, look
Thank
into
you.
that. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's quite a productive first semester.
It was.
Love it. Some really good things going on here with our students. Thanks for sharing those, Sega. And Ryan, thank Ryan for his report as well. All right, board reports. So Brian, if you want to share maybe from a workshop.
Yeah, the workshop, we took a look at the pulse survey, in which we noticed that the scores were higher in January than they were from prior December, showing growth for us. Tips, we went over tips for the Kate's evaluation, looking for strengths, trying to grow, and then put towards areas to improve or growth. Not improve, more growth, or trying to expand as our expansion goes. We also looked at our leadership model, trying to identify what our daily outcomes and experiences want to be for not only staff but also students and families. We also reviewed and reminded about the governance versus management of who what our role is as a board and what Kate's role as management would be, and we're reviewing. And one of the last things we did is went back to our personality traits. We reviewed characteristics in the best ways that we can kind of communicate effectively with each other, in which we can kind of use our strengths and how we can approach each other in a non-aggressive but open way.
Right, that's special, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, and reminder of those that you're supposed to touch base with everybody by the February workshop, which is February.
A week from Saturday.
Thank you, week from Saturday, February 6th. 7th. All right. So, thank you. Other board news, I guess some things you know probably that at SAM, our authorizer, there's a new director. Liz Wynn has retired effective end of December. January 1st, John Gutierrez started there. He is one of the founders of St. Croix Prep Academy, and I've met him, and I know Kate has met with him, and Justin Tarso met with him and worked with him, and he's great. He's a really great asset for Sam and for us. He has a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience that he brings to this, and it feels like a really smooth transition for leadership at SAM. You also maybe know that with that same piece that SAM is going to be dissolving as of June of 2027. As an organization, they only have 2 schools, which they are authorizers for, which is not a very big load for a sustainable business model. So they will be dissolving, which means for MSA, we need to find a new authorizer by then. And we are underway, that process of figuring that out. There's a meeting tomorrow morning with the state of Minnesota, meeting with us and the Northern Lakes, is the name of their school?
No, it's Northeast College.
The other school that, so kind of what the next steps are in the process to do this. And John also has some ideas about how to do this more smoothly. So I think it won't be an issue. It's just something else to do and make sure that we work through this and get ourselves a new authorizer. So those are the big things for the board happening right now. Kate, you have a variety of things, including
Kari, did you say it's June of 26th that they're dissolving?
27.
27.
27th.
So due process, they had to put their notice in, and then it's a year and a half, or then the next year. So that's the earliest they could dissolve based on when they notified.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, is it June 1st or June 30th of 2020?
I believe June 30th.
Okay,
So
so
July
end of
1st.
fiscal year.
Yeah, yeah,
It's at the end of our contract.
yeah.
Okay, I can't remember what.
Yeah. Any other questions on that? Okay. Kate, did you want to move on to the next pieces?
So the first item on, in my report is Polar Athletics Group. What Polar Athletics Group, and I'll let them give their presentation, but they manage athletic director services, which for us, I think would be a great opportunity in that right now, we have our middle school principal is spending at least half of his time right now on athletic directing, and that would not be sustainable in the new site. So we have the option of either contracting that service out, and they'll explain the service that they provide, or hiring our own athletic director, which will be more expensive. I mean, there's no way to still have to pay all of their benefits and workman's comp and all of that. So I will hand this off to Chris and Ben to give a talk about what this is all about, and then you have a chance to ask them any questions.
Evening, everybody. Board members, community members, thank you for having us tonight. My name is Chris Babler. This is Ben Poitinger. We are the co-founders of Polar Athletic Group, and between the two of us, we've got 35 plus years of combined experience in athletics and activities. We both led charter schools through expansions. I was with Eagle Ridge Academy for 7 years, been at both PACT and now Spectrum. We founded Polar last year because we saw a deep need for really smaller and middle-sized schools to have added support. It became possible for a number of reasons: advances in technology, post-COVID, more community and teamwork between activities departments across the state, and also just a real downward pressure from budgets coming from at the state level. So we saw a real opportunity to strengthen activities experiences. I'm part of the MCAA, so welcome to the league. So we're excited to be here. We think we've got an innovative solution to a problem that's going to become very common across this state very quickly. Our vision really is about scaling. So you've already got world-class academics here. We want to help support and bring an activities department that's at the same high level of expectations. And we want to help transition your district from a do-it-yourself internal model to a professionalized partnership. The goal is really to support an on-site physical person who does everything that needs to be done on-site, and all the tasks of the job that comes with activities and athletics directing becomes remote. We can provide standardization in a number of ways, both through technology and through like a physical person who's going to support the school. But really that's going to open up Steve to be able to be an on-site leader more, be more present, focus on actual leadership. And we're a specialized remote advisory and administrative support partner designed to handle the heavy lifting of athletics and activities management. We're the back office engine. It's a model that's been applied to food service, security, communications, transportation. Just about every other operational structure in schools has gone to fractionalized models. It's first in the nation for activities and athletics. With Polar Athletic Group, you still get local control, even though many of the functions are going remote. So you get expert level administration without losing your school identity, without losing what makes Dragon activities and athletics special. Authority remains here with 100% control of hiring, firing, and facility use. Polar Athletic Group handles scheduling, state high school league compliance, officials, transportation, those types of things. We've already broken out a clear model of responsibility and authority to define who has what. We don't want any ambiguity left for the board, for the staff, for Steve, or for our employees. We're using modern tools to solve old administrative headaches. We're developing technological systems on top of what we've got available through Gemini and other large language models. We can draft policies, procedures, handbooks, assessments in hours now, not weeks. These are things that we can bring to math and science and other schools across the state. I want to clarify that while PAG provides the support, again, Math and Science Academy retains full authority over all on-site decisions, game day, how purchases actually are made, and then hiring and student safety issues. We're committed through 2028. This is a long-term solution for program continuity. We feel over time, over schools, this can minimize the impact of transitions between staffing. And a longer term allows for operational, you can predict what budget constraints you're going to have. So it's a more predictable salary model. I think that's a pretty good overview. I just if you need visuals, I just put a few of the whats and the whys up there. But if you've got questions, I'd like to open it up now to the board for any questions you might have about what we're proposing and what that entails.
You said that there'll be greater predictability than there is with salary?
So from a budgetary position, it's more predictable than hiring or hiring somebody new. So it becomes an operational budget number and not something that's tied to a negotiation, like if you have to rehire for a new person.
It also helps us with benefits, because benefits are always unpredictable.
Correct.
In terms of the cost.
So
yeah, when we hire somebody, we don't get to ask, how many dependents are you going to try to cover with this, that kind of thing. It does take that unknown out.
I have another question. Was your hand up?
Yeah,
It was. It's okay, we might be bouncing back and forth because I've got a few. One of my questions is, I'll start with the easy one, okay?
All right.
The rest of you might go easy. Yeah. We're currently Class A.
Mm-hmm.
With our enrollment expansion, we're looking to be going to Class 3A in a year.
Depending on the activity, yeah.
What I've been seeing, pretty much based on our numbers, we will be at a 3A across the board. What's your experience in taking a school from a 1A to 3A? I mean, I ask this because I come from a very athletic family. My nieces play in a now ranked 4A school. They were top in 3A a year ago. And I know the growing pains that we've seen just jumping one class. We're looking at jumping two. What's your experience with that? So that's the easy question.
Yeah, I mean, Eagle Ridge went from single A to double A, and we looked at going, in track and field, there's fewer classes, so those jumps become bigger. But, I know I've transitioned one school district through. I've also coached collegiately, so I have a good idea of what exists at different levels. The question becomes much more about section play and postseason play because it doesn't have a huge impact on what you do during the season. You can still schedule down. Where going up classes matters is really in postseason tournaments, section tournaments. Maybe you want to jump in on class.
Yeah, you speak to it, the experience. So I've been at PACT, I was at PACT for 10 years. We built a new edition, we pretty much doubled in size, right? So we went from 1A to 2A in that aspect. I left there, went to Spectrum. We've now built an addition, added kids, we're now firmly in 2A. Building a new field house that we just opened up in January, which, that's why I got gray hair. But I think, and I also sit with the experience of sitting on the MCAA, a lot of this is forecasting. I think to touch on as far as if you're going into if you're trying to make that bigger jump, right? There's going to be more kids, right? How do you program for that many kids? How do you find schools to play lower level games? That's a challenge that we've all had and multiple times. I can tell you C baseball is very hard to find. C level baseball, there's not many schools out there. But, so I mean, experience growing these two programs for me and for my aspect puts us in a good situation of what it would take to move from 1A to 3A in most sports and activities. It's about building sustainable programs, coach down, culture down, setting schedules that fit all different levels of school, because I haven't seen a school that's good at everything. And, there's always some things they struggle in, so you kind of got to schedule and help alleviate that pressure, along with more kids equals budget, strains. And how can you slowly grow and invest money into your activities department so that in maybe not year one, you're like, hey, 3A, we got all our ducks in a row, right? We got the budget, we got the facilities, we got a forecasted plan on how to get to be, what I like to say is, you don't want to be the small fish in any class, right? Numbers wise, and facility wise, and program wise. You want to be in the middle of every class. That's the goal. So forecasting out how do you get there from 1A to 3A and certain activities. And then, looking at giving advisement. I mean, I'm doing this in my own program right now, is we have struggled with, and I can just use my experiences, so I'm sorry if I'm going back on those, but football, we have been to the conference championship. We have won a conference championship. We have always had 33 kids out. 33 kids out for football. By the time the season rolls around, you have 12 kids. 12 or 13 kids that aren't hurt, that are safe and playable. Now, it helped in that run that we had two kids that, leading rusher at Bethel, right? I mean, two really good, talented kids. But we had a discussion when I first came on over at Spectrum, and it was, how do we get out of this 33 kids? Because, we go play Foley. That's in our section. Handbill's in our section. We have 62 kids out. So you have to take an analysis and go, well, what has Annandale got that we don't have? They don't have soccer. Well, we're not cutting our soccer program because it's important to have as many programs as they do. So now, that approach we took is we're reaching out to other schools to co-op, with us being the host to bring bodies in. And it's a strategic co-op, but it'll help us solidify the numbers. So it's out of the box thinking in different programs like that. But I think with our experience, we know how to get you to there. Be competitive, be the middle pack, middle of that 3A, and feel comfortable. Because if you're at the high, you want to move up. And if you're at the low, you want to move down. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. So have we decided which activities it would cover? Is it athletics only, or would it be other activities? And the reason I ask is kind of a statement. I'm involved as a parent in an activity, and I know there are a lot of parents who feel the need in the school to be involved because there's a stress on capabilities. With just the small school that we are, and the number of activities that we want to provide, the number of students who are involved in activities, and so it does fall a lot on parents to help coordinate, and so wondered if we have thoughts on which activities would be covered and your experiences about whether your support alleviates some of that parent stress on small schools.
Yeah, so, okay, the name's a little deceptive in Polar Athletic Group. It's not only focused on athletics, especially when we talk about school services. The way the state structures activities under the State High School League is there are a number of what I'd call co-curriculars, like music, art, theater, those types of activities. They always fall under the activities director's purviews in the vast majority of schools. Not always. Most of the time, they fall under the activities director's purviews or the activities departments. I grew a theater program from just one production to 3 levels, multiple productions per year. So when we talk about like programming, we mean that, setting up registrations, helping with marketing and dispersing information out, the whole part, like the whole support level.
Building structure.
Yeah.
Right? So when I look at an activity that comes across my desk that needs to be improved, I look at like how our structure is built in other activities that are successful and then blending that down. One thing we're looking at this year for our theater program is we do two performances a year. We're struggling on kids. So we're gonna try to get more kids, lower level involved in a summer camp where they're gonna put on their, production, because what builds our basketball team, summer camp. So it's kind of setting those structures and going down in other activities. But as a whole, athletics activities director, even though I'll refer to myself as an athletic director, I'm an activities director, and so, it's all, that's what we're in charge of.
So have we decided it will be all activities or not yet?
It will be a lot of activities. We're still gonna have a lot of the front-facing stuff that you'll still have contact with school staff. They're gonna be providing a lot of the back level support, so like if a student isn't gonna come and they're not gonna be on site. We will have, they'll either see Steve still, or likely we will have, one of our clerks will run into, will be managing a lot of the school side of the activities.
I'm thinking of robotics.
Yeah.
We just don't have the coaching coverage that the school needs. It's a lot of parents
Right.
working alongside with Ms. Brunshire and Mr. Linksa.
So
But we are putting in, literally right now with the season, probably 15 hours a week, trying to build a lot of that infrastructure. And there's higher and higher demand for robotics. So for me, I'm just like, it's this, because we're trying to build that kind of pipeline and infrastructure and figuring out how to share resources, share money, do scheduling that is complementary, and we just aren't. It's a lot of work for parents to do because we have such small number of coaching resources on that.
We won a state championship at Eagle Ridge with the robotics program, so two things. You're not going to get away from doing a lot as a parent in a robotics program just because of the cost and the immense amount of work that goes into building a robot and then getting a team and a robot to a competition. There's going to be a lot that comes with that no matter what. What generally comes from an activities department is going to be, registration, helping get the parents that are going to support that type of program, the resources they need from a communication standpoint, sitting down, helping with whatever fundraising plans or goals that you have to make sure that they're going to comply with either the school district or the booster club. So I totally understand.
No, I created a booster club because there was a need.
Correct.
So,
And budgeting,
Yeah.
right? Having that model of being like, here's where we want to get to with our robot and our program. we came from at PAX, we had a pretty solid robotics team to where we ended up hosting 2 events a year. And that was a great way to get revenue that then they could use, because we ticketed the front gate, and then they could use that revenue back into the program, right? That was a fundraiser that we set up. So I mean,
Yeah, no, I just feel like, I hope that it's a mix, right?
Yeah.
Athletics are important, but they tend to steal the show in terms of activities, so I hope that we're considering others.
So what I'm hearing
Oh,
is,
I think Jen has.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So just to clarify between the two of you, I know that whenever we have activities or athletics on site, we have to have an athletic director or someone on site just in case something goes awry. Would that still be Steve, or is that someone from them that would be
So-
here, or is it a mix,
We
depending
would,
on the event?
I mean, administration will still be in charge of student
Okay.
management, in terms of, there's gonna still need to be somebody here to make sure that it's not typically the athletes that we're managing.
Right.
The coaches have the athletes pretty well
Under control.
under control.
Yep.
It's those who are not currently competing
Yes.
that need, sorry.
No, that's
I think I
okay.
wiggled things around, that tend to need some level of supervision, so for the most part, there'll still be an administrator on site, because we know the kids.
Right.
And it's also a good opportunity for us to connect with families.
Yep.
So what I'm hearing is, if I can get this right in my head, you would be responsible for MSHSL type activities, but not necessarily the chess club or DECA or HOSA or those things, correct?
We've all have experience managing those outside activities, so the limitation is not put in place that we can't manage different activities. Our main focus right off the bat when we met with Steve was athletics and like the MSHSL competitive theater and things like that. We do have the capability of, we do have the capability, he's kind of my talker and I'm more the operations guy, but we do have the capability to help out in those aspects as well. I mean, can I bring up one point? You brought up that we're going from 1A to 3A, right?
Uh-huh.
Most 3A departments are departments of 3,
Uh-huh.
right? So that's what we're trying to solve. In my, we're trying to solve a budgetary issue that you're gonna have to try to go to 3 members in your activities department, whether that's an admin, assistant, and an AD. And we're trying to solve one of those and keep it cost efficient for schools, because we've seen it and we've been a part of it as ADs where you need help, right? So that's what we're trying to solve.
So you would do the scheduling of games, the scheduling of gym time as well, and scheduling buses and making sure we had buses and all of that. And then as we look at our finances, and sometimes a sport comes in low, well, that's because they had more busing needs. You would make sure that our athletic fees were also in line with those costs?
Yep.
From what I'm hearing. And at the same time, you would hire the refs, or would we still hire the refs? Or would you contract with the refs and then we pay them? I mean, how does that work?
So.
Sorry, I'm asking
I can take
those
this from
kinds of
operations.
questions.
Details there that have
Yeah,
not
I can take
fully
this
been-
from, you're talking about referees, right? Is that what
Referees or buses? I
You
mean,
said reps, sorry.
Refs,
I did
refs,
Okay,
refs.
so, yeah, I mean, we would work with your team here. Like, we would communicate with the assigner to get you booked and solid, and we would confirm with those officials that they're gonna be there that night, give them any special details that they need to know about. As far as paying them and on-site, right now that would follow the math and science, like a game voucher. We are working on technology that'll take care of all this, but hopefully that's down the line. That's how we would go about doing that. As far as transportation, you guys have a transportation director right now, right? Coordinator?
Our athletics person coordinates
The
buses,
transportation,
yeah.
okay.
For-
So
for
like
that.
something in that aspect, we would schedule the games, set up the busing, make sure it's properly communicated, check in with the busing, send reminders, make sure we're all, I mean, from an activities director standpoint, this job, you're gonna make mistakes, but you gotta check 4 or 5 times. and confirm 4 or 5 times. And that's what we would take out from an activities director at Math and Science, is that checking, that confirming, that scheduling, communicating, like that's what we're gonna assist.
And then you also do the marketing, so for example, I'm a parent who's very involved with the theater department. So you would help with the marketing of that and maybe setting up a booster club, which is something I've wanted to see happen, or do you not do that with our parents?
The marketing's, we're gonna compile the information, make sure it gets to whoever needs to get it to the website.
Okay, so it's,
Yeah. And as far as your conversation of a booster club, I've stood up 2 booster clubs. He's stood up 1. If we need guidance on how to we can provide that, and the steps and the structure on how to build a successful booster club. That's one thing I'm not familiar with Math and Science right now. If you have a separate booster club in every activity, I've operated I've operated under one umbrella for 12 years of being an AD, where we have one booster club and different accounts in that booster club. So I have plenty of experience on how to set one up, set different policies. Chris shares the same knowledge. Actually, I gained my knowledge from him when I was setting things up, and then we've kind of learned as we go. So that's information we can provide as well. And the steps and the structure, how to get there, the procedure on how to get there, that's what we can provide. We won't be on-site meeting with the booster club to get it up and going on a regular basis, but we can give you the steps on how to get one going.
Yeah, and I was thinking more like infrastructure support, because it feels very different between a basketball team, the theater club, the debate club, and robotics. And those are the big ones I'm thinking of. The rest are maybe smaller clubs that don't have the same level of participation or competition. But there's different manuals, there's different rules,
Yep.
there's different
Rule books.
enforcement.
Rule books
and
is huge.
we parents find ourselves in our booster not just raising money, but trying to fill the gaps around that, because Mr. Henry is very busy. I mean, he does what he does, fantastic, but he's also very busy.
And one thing to touch on that, like the aspects of like budgetary and setting up a structure, like and analyzing fees and where they're at. We have extensive experience in that we can provide and say, okay, we want our robotics club to be here. How do we get there from a budget standpoint? And then we can make recommendations, and then you guys take it from there.
One other question is, do we yet know, would this paying for this contract come out of activities fees, or would it be a salary complement
So
that you're contracting?
typically, like the stipends, the fees, paying for Hayman, all of that, that comes out of the general fund. We don't generate enough revenue in the fees to pay. I mean, the fees basically pay for officials and buses and uniforms and that kind of thing. So this would be, if we're thinking about our budget, it would come as a contracted service. So it would be in that same line as any of the other contracted services we have.
you had mentioned, my last question, I think I promised.
Now we're here.
You had mentioned, looking at football and how do you get past the 33? I'm not familiar with football, I'm familiar with basketball. And the programs I have seen, your successful programs have feeder programs coming down, that feed up through. So as we look at that, and we know that we're on the cusp of expanding to a K-5 sometime in the next 24 months, 18 months. Is that something your group also helps coordinate or run or get in place so that we could have feeder basketball, feeder volleyball, feeder soccer, feeder track and field programs summer or through the school so that we keep our programs going?
So we both have feeder program development experience. Again, that really comes down to like a budgetary question and how you allocate staff members and what types of time commitments those entail. I've had varsity head coaches run small, like K4 types of programs. Our robotics program built Lego League down to kindergarten, and it took a huge chunk of the expense of the varsity program off its plate. So there's a bunch of different solutions that can be built. I really want to emphasize that, if you look at programming and you think about the job of an activities department at a school or at a club or at community ed, these are really very similar tasks. They're just different organizations. So if you want to start after school, before school activities, weekend activities, we can help with that. What that looks like is going to depend a lot more on what we're getting for inputs from parents, from school leaders, than it is us telling you exactly this is the perfect model for you, for your students, for your parents. I think every school is going to be a little different there.
Yeah, I couldn't echo that more. I mean, you brought up basketball. I go back about 8 years ago when I was trying to get the PAC basketball team numbers up. And what we came and decided to do is we decided to partner up with 4 or 5 schools and have a little youth league. And they played on Saturdays, and it was cost efficient. Parents, got them there on Saturdays. They practiced twice a week because that's the gym space I had, but it grew our programs. We have extensive knowledge in that, and we can provide that, but a lot of other aspects go into the support on trying to get that done financially, and we can help develop it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That was my question,
Yep.
was do you help
Yeah.
develop
Yep.
those kinds of programs so that those elementary
Nope.
kids can have.
You're
those
100%
skills?
right. How do you get feeders is how you build your program. So,
I have one final question, I'm sure we probably want to move, does anyone else? Okay. When we see the contract, will it be minimum or maximum number of hours per month that we'll see as part of the monthly fee?
So the way the contract's written is you would have a full-time support staff remote. And we haven't defined the hours specifically in it, but there will be somebody from Polar supporting this institution full-time, effectively.
so when we took the model from an operations standpoint, we took the list of tasks and the things that an activities director does, and we just laid them all out. And we said, when we met with Steve, we said, hey, what works for you? What would be responsible? What would us be responsible? And we developed a pricing based on that. So the contract will look like a monthly fee for a full-time person to complete the tasks that we have developed and agreed upon with Steve and what preliminary conversations have been.
If you want it boiled down even like to minutia here, 80% of the work of an activities department for 60% of the cost. That's our goal.
Any other questions?
No, I think we're good. I'll have the full contract for you next month. You could vote on, but the cost is already is in the sheet that is shared in there. So it is significantly less than even hiring any level of a full-time person with even the minimal amount of experience that would be necessary to have a chance at doing this job. So we're lucky in that for that money, we get very experienced crew who will help us through that. And I can just tell right now, Chris has been helpful with us, even talking with us as we've looked at our facilities for our new site and whatnot. He's just done that out of his kindness of his heart. But he's been a good partner with us when he was at Eagle Ridge as well. I know he has worked extensively with Mr. Hammond as we were trying to work through all things athletic. So Chris has been in relationship with the school for a long time now. He's not just some new guy. And Ben has been great too, I don't know.
No.
No,
Not at all. I don't take offense to it at all.
This is not a group that we don't know or trust, or we wouldn't be bringing this forward.
Well, thank you guys for the time. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Feel you.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and try and move relatively swiftly through the equity audit. You've all seen it. There's just a couple things that I think it's important to highlight. We can take a look at, Caitlin's got that graph up there. This is our change over the last 6 years in percentage of our population in each of the major demographic groups. So we have seen, I did go back and look at the numbers. There's slightly fewer white students right now than there were. However, the growth has been primarily in students of color as we look at the growth over the last several years, which has brought us to a point where we are housed, obviously, in the 833 school district, which is comprised of 76% white individuals. We are just under 30% white now at this school. So we are significantly more diverse than our home community. So, which is incredible given, you know, all of the things that we do here too. So we are certainly a destination school for students of color, for all students, but students of color particularly. We're very proud of that growth that we've had. Our students attend school far more regularly than statewide average for every demographic group. We did a little bit different this year in terms of, last year we went by voting in the election as a measure of parent involvement. This year, teachers recorded their conferences in campus so then we were able to pull data, which I think is probably better data in terms of parent involvement. And I was excited to see the graph down below shows the difference, the variance from the overall population. So I think we've done really well at representing our community through conferences. We're going to continue to work on getting conference attendance. We're just under a quarter of our students had conferences. I think that number is a little low. I don't know that everyone recorded their conferences in campus. Where I think if they still have their desk notes, as a note for everyone to go ahead and put those notes in, because that does help us identify that. We're doing a few things differently in the spring for high school students. We'll have 3 different sessions during conferences that are targeted to for things that parents are probably the most interested in right now as they're looking at their student in high school. So we'll have one meeting which will be about PSEO and all that's involved with that, and trying to bring in families during conferences for that. That would be for 10th grade students because many of them begin PSEO in 11th grade. Obviously, 11th grade families could attend too. It's not exclusive, but that's the target audience. College admissions for our 11th grade students. Many of our students and their families don't really know how to go about applying for college, and we end up with issues where it's, the Common App is closing tomorrow, can you write me a letter of rec? Well, sometimes that is a little much on our high school teachers. So we're trying to work through that. And then for our 12th grade families, you know, just going through the whole FAFSA and how do you apply for financial aid, which is complicated and required for nearly every family. Even if you are not a low-income family, there are still a lot of opportunities for you to have some financial aid, so we're hoping to bring in more families around that. The next area was behavior data. In the 24-25 school year, we had 47 behavior referrals. which is down from the year before. That doesn't mean only 47 kids did something that they needed a correction for. But, I mean, their kids are really good, but that, in a school of our size, it would be normal to have 47 referrals in a week. And that wouldn't even be considered high for our population. So the fact that we have 47 in a year with 4 out-of-school suspensions represents a decrease even as our population increased. Doesn't mean that we're not always still working with our kids to do better. We still have a higher representation of Black students being referred. We are still working through that and examining the data to try and figure out what it is that is bringing that data out of line. The standardized test data, we've seen this stuff before, it's just as part of this. Our students are outperforming every demographic group in the state in both MCA and ACT data. That data is not new to you. Interestingly, we do a comparison between other high-performing charter schools in the area in terms of their the achievement gaps. It bounces around a little bit. Our achievement gap is lower than Eagle Ridge and Nova in math. We don't have any data because St. Clair Cup was the other school that we tried to compare to, but they did not have enough Black students to be able to do the comparison there. And then in reading, the numbers shift around a little bit. Nova did really well on reading, even though they did worse in math. So, and that was the case for us too in other years. Those numbers bounce around quite a bit. So what we're gonna do with this data, this report, February 13th, we have equity training with the YMCA in the morning. We're having a staff, it was always the chili cook-off, but now there's a big push that it would be the crock pot cook-off, so I'm not engaging in that that debate. I don't care, so they'll have that, and then in the afternoon, we're gonna have staff review the equity audit and suggest action steps. In the past, we provided the action steps as administration. We'd like the teachers to have input on the action steps and a little bit more ownership on that. So we should have action steps for you at the next board meeting. So typically, board votes on the action steps. So I just wanted you to see the report now, and we'll have action steps next board meeting. Are there any questions before I move to the expansion report?
Is your equity committee teachers administration only, or is it community involvement as well?
Our equity committee is mainly teachers, and there's a few administrators on there.
One more question is, when we survey parents, have we ever asked for volunteer data from the parents and their demographic information in terms of college attainment and profession? Have we ever thought to connect the parent home situation and body and experience as it relates to the students? For example, if a person is first generation immigrant and their parents did not attend college, then that's a different demographic than maybe some other students who are first generation immigrants but parents did attend college and have that experience to help navigate at home. Is that any kind of data that we've collected in the past?
We have not collected that data. It's difficult data because then you have to tie it back then to the student achievement. So if we were gonna, it no longer is anonymous, right? Because I would have to attach it to the child that it goes with, which then lets us know and fill that out. It's something we could certainly consider how one would do that. It's just, trying to make sure that families also feel like their survey is reasonably anonymous.
Yeah, but I think it's also important when you're thinking of the equity questions and you're thinking about the disparities around race, that you're understanding the culture and the general situations in which people are coming to our school. So it isn't just about race, it's about the complexities of perhaps being an immigrant or perhaps having come from into the country as a refugee, et cetera. There could be a lot of different scenarios that really impact a person's experience when they come to us.
Yeah, that's something we could certainly think about on how to do that. I'm nervous about asking too many questions about
Not
immigration.
today. Not today.
I mean,
Another day.
it's actually, some of that are not legal questions to ask. And I think it might be a little raw this year, but we could certainly.
Yeah, not today, but it could be voluntary, and I do think in other programs I've been, it's helpful information to understand if a parent has not the experience. I was first generation of, as a US citizen of going to college, and I didn't have that experience that my peers did. So guidance counselors could have benefited from having that information to support me because I wasn't able to get it at home. There may be other students that have that situation too.
Yeah, we can certainly take a look at it. I think we want to, it probably won't be in this year's survey.
I was gonna say to that extent too, we are getting a larger and larger influx of immigrants from Ukraine, Russia. We ran into somebody the other day who had immigrated from Russia. So they're not English speaking at home per se, or that's not their first language at home. But they don't necessarily, they would fit into the categories as you look at them, as we looked at our equity. They'd still be a white student, but they're not English speaking at home. Does that make sense?
Right. So they're in
And
two,
so
yeah,
when you
there's
look
the,
at that, I think we need to be cognizant of that group of immigrants coming in as well, because that could bring a whole different challenge or depth and complexity to these numbers.
Yeah, so we have data on students who are identified as EL, English language learners. And then we can cross-reference that to other demographic data. We get that from the state. We can do that. Because we do, track students who need English language service. So we do track that. We don't have a large population of EL students, so you won't see their data in any grade level because the cell size is too small. There's not enough, so it would just all of a sudden identify, we might have 2 students who receive EL service in the 7th grade. I just made that number up, but it's not a lot. That might not be a large number. If we report their data, then all of a sudden it makes it too identifiable
Right.
as to who they are. So certainly we can continue to look at how to make a data collection more robust in the future. All right, and with that, the expansion report, as you all know, we are working on our elementary approval process. We have found out a lot of information in the last 3 weeks. We've been working really hard, talking with lots of different people in the industry and legal assistants. What we have found out is Craig Kepler, who is one of our attorneys who worked with us on our expansion, and he does a lot of, it's a different kind of legal work than Laura Booth does, primarily like student stuff and then some other components, but Craig tends to be more on the business side. And he has not seen a single school get an approval for any kind of expansion in 6 months. The denial reasons are very, I'll just say this is not his words, but relatively petty. I mean, there was one school that got denied their expansion because they were missing a month or 2 of building company minutes on their website. Another school was denied an expansion. They were just trying to buy the building that they resided in the bond payment would be exactly what it would cost for them to stay there, but then they would be able to have enough money. The bond payment was gonna be exactly the same as their rent, except for then they would have a repair and replacement fund, so they can actually upkeep the building, which is kind of falling apart. They got denied for a relatively simple reason. Another school got denied when they attempted to rent 2 more classrooms across the street. So there's a lot of really strange things. The sense is that the state is just trying extremely hard to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect, but in that regard, they're making it's impossible to be 100% perfect, which is making these things difficult. So that's kind of what we've learned about that. Now, in terms of our situation, I have told you about, we had 4 options the last time we talked. One was to call the state and ask them to change their mind. We did that, that's not happening. They didn't, which is something that we expected, that's not unexpected. We have the option of taking some legal action, and we could do that, and we haven't 100% ruled that out. However, as we're thinking about bandwidth and the expense and the likelihood of success, the success, Laura Booth said maybe 50-50, but that's optimistic. And the time consuming, so it's gonna take time. It's gonna take a lot of time out of my time, and it's gonna cost a lot of money, and the decision would still not get us open in 26, because soonest we would hear anything was to be this summer, which makes it impossible to open properly. And it tends to squander some goodwill, because I've got the feeling that some of the people at MDE might have some feelings about us suing them. Now, that having been said, there's a part of me that feels like they're not doing their job. There should be consequences, but I don't know if now is the time, or if this is the right thing for us to do. So that's an option. That's kind of fading in my idea that this would be good. The appeals court might not even agree to hear the case. So, and then we have, and we are working on currently filling out a new affidavit for the fall of 27. And we will continue to do that. Our authorizer now, John, has been phenomenal with us. He has a concern, though, that because at the time of our opening, he won't be the authorizer, right? So we would be going through this process, but he can't guarantee all of the things that are gonna happen, because there's a section of authorizer guarantees, which he would fill out what's his job and what he would do, and it's pretty standard throughout the sector. They've also put in notice that they're not gonna continue, so the state knows that he's not gonna do that, right? Because it's not that he wouldn't, he just will not be in business. We don't have an option because they are the authorizer, like we don't have a different authorizer, so that's our only authorizer. So we will continue to get that documentation done. We're close. We've been working constantly on trying to get that done. We're close on that. We should be able to have that in the next 2 weeks. The good news is the state approved every single part of our plan. And that makes the likelihood that they would pass it higher. However, we passed every single part of the plan this year, and here we are. So that's a risk. I mean, it doesn't hurt us to do it, so we're going to continue to do it. We'll take a look at when we want, trying to work with Sam in terms of when they'll review it. Because they can, if we get it in by March 1st, they can hold it for as long. Liz held it for 6 months. So they have time. They don't have to report back till September 1 to us and then file with the state by October 1. We can make that faster, if John's willing to do that, and he seems willing, but there's issues with that. We'll still do it. The other option, and as we talked about it before, was merging with the pre-operational CSU school. They have K-5 approval and an idea that they want environmental education. Those are the two things that are really important to them. The other things that are important to them about, they've taken a look at our program and all of that, and sustainability of the teaching profession, and those kind of things, which are all things that we want anyway. That the director has been out several times. I think I have a meeting with her, I don't know, today or tomorrow, but not today, tomorrow or the next day. And it's going well. We could merge together, and all that the merger process requires is our authorizer to approve. They write a new contract, and then there's some stuff with the Secretary of State and some of that. But it's pretty straightforward, and MD is not a part of that at this point. So that would work, but then the other option that John brought up, because we also have to change authorizers. So we can do the same thing, only merge into CSU. So we would change the name, it would still be Math and Science Academy, but in doing that, we can change authorizers at the same time. So we can merge, because you have to have one authorizer at the end. So you can go either way. We have not talked to IQS, Innovative Quality Schools, that's the other authorizer. John doesn't expect that any authorizer would have a problem with putting us on as a school. So that is also an option. All of these options, though, as we are working through them, are consolidating our timelines, right? They're taking a lot of stuff that we're doing right now is the stuff that we were doing last year. So it's now we're back in the spin cycle of how do we get that elementary approval, which was expected already. So our timelines are somewhat smooshed in and difficult at this point, because all of these are going to be up in the air for a little bit. So the likelihood is that elementary will not open until fall of '27. I'm not willing to bring forward an idea that slaps together elementary and gets it open, because if we start that way, it's really hard to rein that back in. We can't enter any contracts with anybody right now because we can't hire based on what we know right now. We can't conduct an elementary lottery. We closed our lottery right now. There's well over 1,000 kids in the elementary lottery right now. But we're not gonna go ahead and leave that open where people think that they're gonna have elementary next year. It's possible, we might be able to, who knows, this month has been the craziest month I think I've ever lived in, so who knows what could happen. But the likelihood of a smooth elementary rollout is not high at this point. I don't know a lot more than what I've just told you. I would suggest that we set aside an hour or so at our retreat to just sit down. I will have more information. As we keep working through this, the information just keeps flowing in. So I think in the next 2 weeks, we should have a better idea of what the options are. I mean, things have changed. They're changing every single day. But we're gonna have to get down to focusing on a couple of things, right? We're gonna have to start to make some decisions, because we will pursue the affidavit like we've been doing, but I'd like to have we can do lots of things at the same time. I would just like to kind of get an idea of where we're going so that the board has a better idea. If we are gonna do a merger, we have to get that process started. It's not it's easier than most mergers because the other school has no money, has no students, has no family, or families. I don't think she has a family, but families, all of the things that can make combining schools difficult. They have a board, but the board is pretty much dissolved because they got on board when their kids were little. Their kids are all out of elementary now, so that their board isn't even really meeting. I mean, I'm sure she could find the people from their board.
What's their current enrollment?
0. They're pre-operational, they have nothing. So they have no debt, they have no assets. So the main thing that they have is that elementary approval. So I think they've got K-8 approval, but that's the other component. So at this point, we'll have more information as we move along, but that's about all I have right now.
Thank you, Kate. That's a lot.
Can I ask a quick question on the expansion committee? We've heard a lot about K-5. Tonight and previous nights. I know previously the timeline was kind of set out that, and I know statutorily, teachers, if they want to take a sabbatical to work at a charter school or work elsewhere, have to let their schools know by, I think it's February 1st, so that they can protect their time. I might be saying that wrong, but I know that there's a February 1st kind of date. And I know we had talked about targeting that for hires for secondary. Where are we in the process? I mean, we've spent a lot of time and energy on looking at K-5 staffing, but our high school is going to be doubling in size. How does this look for staffing for our high school? Because I'm guessing, Mark, you haven't figured out how to 3D print yourself so you can teach in another classroom yet, or Jen. Maybe you have, which is awesome, because if you could, I'd love to know how to do that today. Where are we in those positions? How are we positioning ourselves for our expansion for 612 for next fall?
We are on track with our plans for 612. We currently have to be quite careful now because our money is now, I mean, we're going to have a lot less money next year. We're going to be in the red. So we're going to have to be very strategic about that, but we are currently interviewing. We interviewed a science teacher today, a math teacher the other day. We've got, I think we just hired a special ed teacher. We've been interviewing Spanish teachers. So those things are moving along. If we think about the lift now of hiring, we're not doubling the high school next year, so it's about 500-ish more kids, but we also have to see how the lottery and everything else works out. So we'll be hiring about 23, 24 people-ish, depending. So that's a much lighter lift. And I mean, we've hired 13, 15 people in a summer. So I'm not too worried about that. There's not a sabbatical for charter, it's charter school leave, it's different. And at this point in time, the cuts that we're expecting in all the other districts are gonna be such that I don't have any concerns about being able to hire. We've had good applicants, we've had a lot of applicants, it's extremely early. Hiring right now, we try to do it because it's helpful, but in a normal year, people that we hire before April, is about 50% of them start. So it's a lot of time spent on giving people backup plans, basically. You know, they may want to work here, they may not, they don't know, but they go through the process, they take they sign the contract, and then they pull back out later. That happens quite often. So the bigger thing is making sure that we're fiscally responsible and ethical with our people that we're looking at. Like, I don't wanna hire somebody and then tell them, sorry, you can't, you know, you're not starting. So, I'm not worried about the hiring process. It's underway, there are currently jobs posted. But right now, we're mainly only looking for jobs that we know we're gonna need multiple of. We'll have to go through the lottery, we'll have to complete the lottery, we'll have to go through registration, because so much of what high school students need, we don't know till we hear from the kids, right? I mean, in terms of how much science they're gonna take, because you can double up on science, that has made for a lot of unpredictability. It'll settle out, but Mark knows from the waves of them moving through, it's not really super predictable. It will move through, but we can't fully determine like high school science hiring until we know what students are gonna register for.
With that being said, and again, here I'm throwing on my HR hat from a seminar I listened in on early this afternoon. One of the things was, it was all on employee engagement and retention. And when people, staff, feel like they are engaged, that they have something to bring to the table, that they can expand and develop further, they're more engaged, they'll stay. How are we positioning with our staff to say, I'm gonna pick on Mark, because I know he deals with HOSA. Mark, you know, you might want to really teach a biomedical class, or maybe you want it to be a cross curriculum one. Biomedical ethics, whoa, that would be kind of a cool class, something that we've never offered. Putting it out there to teachers to find out what they're interested in teaching so that we have the presentation to bring out to students to see if they're interested. I mean,
So we've done that, that's underway, and
Okay.
that's happened. I mean, all of the departments have submitted what they would like to teach for electives, we have that.
okay, I
That's
wasn't
done.
sure kind of where that was at, because it was sounding like it was student-driven, and it's like, okay, well, then if that class doesn't fill,
Well-
then you don't need to maybe add an additional
Well,
history
that's-
teacher,
that's
additional
why
science
we
teacher,
are
because,
waiting for
Okay.
registration. We know middle school kids are pretty prescribed in what they
Right.
take, so that's easier to predict. But we still don't even fully know what those numbers are gonna work out to be, because we're dealing in a world of a lot of unknowns. And so what we really need to do is make sure that who we hire will fill the roles that we need filled.
and have we, I know, just knowing from district times when I was heavily involved with 833, January, February is kind of when we found out that, MSA is going from a 9:20 start to from a 7:20 start to a 9 o'clock start or 9:15 start. With our shift away from elementary, or it likely isn't happening, is what I heard you say. Have we let them know
The fall of 26.
that we're not opening a K-5 in fall of 2026? And is there any chance that our start time would be adjusted differently because of that?
So what we've
Just
heard
asking.
on start time is likely a 10-minute shift maximum,
Okay.
one way or another. Tomorrow, Julie Nielsen and Chris Blackburn, and I cannot remember the name of the person who is the head of their student information, is coming out to MSA, so I'll meet with them. I've been in constant communication with them. So, I've been emailing with Julie, but I suggested we just get together and talk. So she will be out here tomorrow. So they are all abreast of what's going on with us right now. Or will be more abreast tomorrow after I meet with them, but we've been having that as an ongoing conversation.
Say hi to Julie. It's been a few years. Thank you.
Sure. All right.
And then Ryan had a question he wanted me to ask was, are we still planning on getting a counselor assistant for the new school, the 6th through 12th?
Yes. We are planning on hopefully getting it still this year towards the end. We're just right now trying to work on, we're trying to keep the budget in line. So it's budgetary right now, and just trying to make sure that we've got a lot of things happening right now, to make sure that, you know, we are responsible with our money.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to move on to the Finance Committee report?
Yeah, so our finance committee met last Wednesday. 2 Wednesdays ago. And our surplus was currently at $29,299. Our ADM was $737, and it was lower. We talked about how 2 new students were starting today. And then our projected cash on hand was 81 days, and then our coverage ratio was 1.04, which does not meet the 1.2 bond covenant that was reported last month, so they had to switch that. I don't remember why exactly. 50% of our fiscal year was completed at this time. Revenues and expenditures were right around that 50%, so looking to be good. Our supplementals, again, kind of what we expected. A few things were a little lower, but we got a reimbursement check for food pantry, and the swimming was getting the registration in, so hopefully that would be balanced out. Yeah, then we talked again about some more expansion stuff that Kate just went over.
Okay. Is that it, Sarah?
Yeah, if there's
Okay,
any
then.
questions.
I guess then we need a motion to approve the December financial reports.
I can make a motion to approve the financial report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further questions about December for Sarah? All right, we'll go ahead then and vote. So all in favor of approving the December financial reports? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. All right, we move on to our action items. And you're doing great. Thank you for all the conversation and the questions. Action items, start with the lottery. So we need to set a lottery number. So you can see what was attached, but I guess we'll start with a motion to approve the lottery numbers for the 2026-27 secondary lottery.
I will move to approve the lottery numbers for the 26-27 secondary lottery.
Is there a second for that?
I can second.
Great, thank you. Any discussion about the lottery numbers? Kate, did, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was saying, Kate, did you want to share your thinking?
Yeah, I was just gonna, this is a different way than we've done these lottery numbers in the past. We don't have a lot of algorithms with this growth model in terms of exactly how many in each grade level. I want us to end up in a place where we're really stable, where we're not out trying to round up kids late in the season. I would like, so that what I'm asking is that the board set an enrollment cap of 1,350 students, but our targeted enrollment is about 1,250. Just because I don't want to end up with weird numbers of kids in different grades. I want them to kind of work out to be class sizes that are manageable. And like our lottery numbers, we've got a ton in 6th grade. Our 7th grade is coming in right about where we hoped. 8th grade is a little shakier. 9th grade is good. We've got some other kids in other grade levels that we can probably just bring in, but they're the grades 10 through 12. We accept a lot of kids in the lottery, not a lot of kids actually start at the beginning of the school year, who we accepted in the lottery. So, and it's important for us to always have wait lists at any point, because in terms of if we think about the stability of the school, if we have students, let's say we're expelled from another district, if we have openings, if we don't have a wait list, we have to take them, right? And it's not that we can't do and wouldn't do a great job with them, and you can just end up, I have seen a lot of charter schools get to the point where students are school shopping, and not for like clothes and tennis shoes, but they're moving around quite a bit. And that can be a lot to take on, and they tend to not stay and take a lot of resources. So I would like to be able to have some flexibility in terms of, okay, we can bring in more kids in 8th grade now, even after the lottery, because now we've got 25 kids on the list. I don't want to just take them in one at a time after we do the lottery, because then I think that we can run into issues where we get really oddly sized classes, and by classes I mean the grade level, which makes it hard for them to fit evenly and nicely into class sizes, because we want to be as efficient as we can in terms of running classes that are comfortably full, as opposed to, you know, we've got those 3 extra kids, so now they're going to have to push up class sizes because the revenue that they're bringing in isn't enough to hire more staff. So that is kind of the logic around why we're doing the lottery just a little bit different this year. I expect it will return to a more traditional, this is how many in each grade level. Next year, it's just this year, I don't want us to be too boxed in by a specific number at a specific grade level.
And that 1,300 number still gives us that cushion of a wait list.
Well, that's why I'm not shooting for 1,300, that's the cap,
That's
so.
the cap.
I think that the target is more like 1,250, I think 1,250 is a reachable, but,
Doesn't defeat the wait list.
not completely, you know, and so we may end up going up later, but I would like to, try to keep it at the 1,250, but I want the flexibility. Financially, bringing in that extra 100 kids would be great, but I don't want to be out rounding up kids who forgot to sign up to go to school at the last minute so that we can hit our targets. That can make, it can just make school difficult here.
So in looking at our numbers, it appears that we will be bringing in roughly our lottery will have openings for 600 people. If our current is at 737 and we're graduating 90 of them, then we'd be at 647 minus the 1,250, so roughly 600 more kids.
Yes, because that we would be replacing the 6th graders. Yeah, I mean,
That's
we'd be
12th
filling
graders.
6th grade because we're replacing some 12th grade.
Right.
Yeah.
What is our current, what's our current lottery number at for 612, do you know?
It's about 800, I think.
Okay,
Right.
just curious.
It's not evenly balanced though. So
No,
that's
I know,
why I
that's why
wanna
I'm
just be
asking,
kinda
how
careful,
many
yeah.
kids do we even have in the lottery?
Yeah, I mean, it changes constantly. Caitlin's probably had a couple people sign up while we were in this meeting for all we know. You know, I mean, it just is constantly evolving. We'll close it on Saturday, so we'll have a little bit better of an idea. We'll run the lottery on February 13th.
Will we have specific numbers per grade on February 13th?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So we'll base it on what the numbers are in terms of who's in the lottery.
So it will kind of run pretty similar to how
It will run
has
the
in
same, yes, we
past.
have to set a number before we start the drawing. We're just
Mhm.
not setting the number right now so that we've got that flexibility.
For the next month or so, close to.
Is that 800 comparable to where we've been in the past?
It's a little higher.
Okay.
It's hard to predict though, because right now we're not, I'm looking at numbers that are a week old, and the lottery is, it's a moving target right now. But, yeah, we're a little higher, but we're coming in, the 6th grade is nice and high, so that makes us know that it will feed nicely through. It's just a matter of trying to hit some level of targets next year so that in the following year, we're not bringing in that many new kids. And then we can just kind of let them move through the system, which is the goal, is to start bringing in a bigger group in 6th grade and kind of letting that attrition occur over the 7 years.
Like we used to do.
Before we were trying to grow, but once we get settled, then it should eventually go back to that.
Is the goal still about 225 per grade level?
Yeah, but I think it's not gonna be, I think the way it's looking, I think we'll probably have about 250 in 6th grade. And then we'll just, what my hope is that we can bring them in 6th grade and identify and work with the kids if they have, any issues, if they need any extra support, if they need any extra, we'll know them well. And so because that number is a little bit bigger, we'll be able to just let it drop to, it'll be probably just a little under 200 is my prediction by the time they get to 12th grade. Now, obviously, it's gonna take us a while for those kids to matriculate through. So in that regard, then the following year, they'll probably be 240, 245 in 7th grade, and then just kind of let that.
And then we wouldn't
go
really
through.
add to that.
Not, and maybe 1 or 2 here or there like we do now, but not, unless we get a big drop, we'll, let those just kind of naturally come down. So that the average in class size in high school will be closer to 200, and the average class size in middle school will be closer to 230. And I say class size, I don't mean classroom size, because some people get confused about that. The entire grade level.
The graduation class.
Yes.
And one other question, is there any concern if for some reason the numbers drop below 1250 as setting this number at that level? Does it matter if we get 11?
No, it's just a matter of how we do the budget.
Okay.
And then, by just having this flexibility where it's just a cap, that allows me to say, okay, it's not like, let's just say, we don't have enough 8th graders, right? So if what the natural 8th grade looks like it's gonna come in at is about 175, to get that to a 225 means we're gonna have to get out and just start hunting down kids.
Right.
But then we might not get kids who really, that this is a good fit, that they don't really necessarily wanna be here. So I would rather let the number be a little bit smaller. And just adjust our budget to accommodate that, as opposed to trying to get kids who may not have felt like this is the place that they wanted to be in the first place. So now we're just rounding them up, and then some may fall out at the end and not come, and then we run into budget problems
That makes
that
sense.
way.
So if we had 175 8th graders with a couple kids on a waiting list, when somebody moves and new kids want to come and get filled in, can we say, we're sorry, 175 is our limit? Or are there even those kids who are like, well, I
So
saw
we don't
somewhere-
have an actual number, so we would have to decide. Now, we can't just say, I don't like Sarah, but I like Isaac, and Sarah's in front, so Sarah, if you're not in, Isaac will go straight to you. We can't do that. But we all the time say, it's not a good time to bring anyone in. Or, it's not as exact of a science as it seems when you write that number down, because sometimes we might say, okay, we lost a 9th grader, so we might invite 4 9th graders. And that the idea would be that we would get 1 out of it, but sometimes 3 sign up. And then we invited that many, so we have to take that many. So it's just a matter of just trying to really massage those numbers and make sure that we're at a healthy spot financially, and then also in terms of our classrooms, because we don't want to just be churning through kids all the time. That makes it extremely difficult for our staff.
Mhm.
You know, when you've got them, 3 new kids this month.
Yeah.
3 new kids next month, the end of the year, it's not even close to the class you had when you started the year. Makes it really hard to move student achievement
Yeah.
or build any kind of culture. And there are a lot of charter schools that churn through kids. That has not, that-
Public schools that do that.
yes, a lot of our traditional districts do that too. I mean, I taught there, I know how that goes. So I think that trying to get to the kids who really want to be here, and we have great retention with our students, we don't tend to lose a lot, which is awesome because that gives us a chance to actually work with those kids and make those gains. Because any of those gains are going to take a fair amount of time, they're just not magical. So.
Any other questions?
Do we need to have board members at the lottery?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we talk about that or just later? We'll figure that out.
Yeah, the lottery is on February 13th, so I think we need to have, Caitlin, how many, do we need 1 or 2?
No, you need at least 2 board members. It is February 13th at 2 p.m. The teachers will be here already for trainings and things, so
Just do
it
that,
could be
yeah.
teachers, but if any non-teachers want to come, they're welcome to come as well. Just don't make quorum.
Right.
All right.
I can be there.
So with 8 people right now on the board, is quorum 4 or 5?
4.
So we will have 3.
And I think you're just observing, so I think it would still be, and if there's teachers there and then if we get too many, somebody might decide to leave. We should be done with training by 2 or close to that. And certainly it could be excused to go do that.
All right, so I guess I had the motion maybe ahead of the conversation, but so we've got a motion. Any other comments or thoughts? All right, so let's vote, I guess, on approving, the motion was to approve the 26, 27 secondary lottery numbers. All in favor? Aye, opposed, abstained? Okay, motion passes. Next, we'll do this one, we'll go over the information first. Mary, do you want to share about just the timeline we created for the election?
Sure, so, the election plan is out in front of you. The idea, the biggest change that you're gonna see is that, nomination forms will open on the 2nd, so next Monday. For anybody, who's watching, if we approve this tonight, you can self-nominate beginning next Tuesday, or next Monday, I'm sorry, February 2nd. And then we ask that all nominations will close on March 5th at the end of the day. So at 4 o'clock on March 5th. Ballots will be approved March 24th by the board at our March 24th meeting. And then on the 25th, the statements will be posted online. The candidate forum will happen sometime the week of April 6th. Ideally, we're looking at April 9th. Much like we did last year, we would have it in person and then broadcast and record it on YouTube. And April 9th is when voting would then open and be open until April 23rd. We have to have it open for 2 weeks. The election committee will meet on, election ends at noon on April 23rd. The election committee is going to meet on the 24th, and we will collect those results, and we will notify the candidates of uncertified winners on April 25th. And what that allows is that allows about 5 weeks for people if they are elected to the board. 5 to 6 weeks, we're not sure when some of those trainings are happening, but because of the new legislative requirement that all members be trained before their term starts, it allows them the opportunity to schedule time off of work or whatever, or time away from their summer plans so that they can attend training before their term starts on July 1st. So that's why we kind of moved the the things up a little bit was to allow for people to have ample opportunity to make their plans accordingly. So that's what we're presenting for the election plan. And then if you want to look, the nomination form, do you want me to continue to go on? Sure. Okay. The nomination form is on the back of that. The biggest changes, we've migrated it from the old website to the new website. And all of the nominations will be, office staff will get a notification and then they'll be saved to Synergy, which is the background tech stuff. There has been a change in the confirmation field to an actual signature, an electronic signature. And there is some wording that was changed on just making sure that people who are self-nominating note that they are not related in any way, shape, or form to anyone on the board or anyone employed at the school. So those are the biggest changes. And that is a statutory thing that has been in existence for quite some time, but we're making sure that it's called out this time.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the election plan and nomination form for 2026.
I'll make the motion to approve the election plan and nomination form.
Second?
I will second.
Any conversation about what you heard, any questions? Thank you, Mary, for sharing all that. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. So we're going to approve the election plan for 2026. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Okay, next on our action items is, as you know, Maggie Lefrui has moved to Colorado, so she's no longer on our board. And Maggie had offered to chair the governance committee. So we need to have a new chairperson. And I'm wondering who might be interested in doing that. Jen, would you be interested? Was there anyone else who would be interested in doing that? I certainly don't want to.
I think Jen will do a great job.
Jen. Are you saying you don't want to do it, Brett?
Ready to see Jen grow.
That'd be great. And I just realized that we had a meeting that we didn't report on. Now that you're the chair, we can report on our last meeting.
I think we're doing it next month.
Next month, yes,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
perfect. All right, so, all in favor? I don't know if we didn't need to vote on this, do we?
Unanimous.
Do we need to vote on this?
We voted this summer.
Yeah, oh, did we?
We also were able to nominate people.
Okay.
We thought that they would do it.
Are there other nominations out there? Self or appointed?
I guess I would like to encourage Leanne. I
Okay.
know she has a governance background, and she's very wise and aware of state statute and so forth, and policies because of what she does professionally. And that's come out of a conversation we had in our board one-on-one, get to know each other. So
Okay.
I don't know if you'd consider it, but I would like to encourage you to consider it as a possibility. Then I'm sorry, I put you on the spot. I wasn't sure how this was happening, so. But I think she would do a fantastic job. Not saying that Jen wouldn't, but I know that sometimes when you're doing this and now you have to learn something else and you're already doing secretary, that it might be kind of overwhelming sometimes, so.
Wasn't prepared to respond, but thank you for the vote of confidence. I guess I'll wait until we have a more formal term it sounds like. It will be at the end of.
Yeah. It's always next year. Lots of rounds. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Jen, are you okay still going forward for
Yeah.
this continuance of the year? Okay, so, I guess we will, all in favor of Jen taking over the conference, or the chair of the governance committee? Aye. Opposed, abstained? All right, so thank you for doing that, Jen, I appreciate it. And thank you, Leanne, for your, bringing your knowledge and willingness, and don't forget you said that about next year.
Don't forget you said that.
Record.
I think you're the secretary, did you write it down?
Yes, it did. It's in the minutes.
Okay, next, we need to approve the food service contract. So, Kate, you want to talk through a little bit what that involves?
So this was, although it says we had to do the non-competitive proposal procedures, we did go through the full competitive process. However, we only got one bid. So this was the first time in the last 5 years that, and as far as I know, that we've had to go through this full competitive process because the contract is going to be over $175,000. So we went through, MDE walked us through every single step. Every time we did something, they had to approve it. So we spent almost $1,500 on newspaper advertisements in order to get things. We put stuff up on our website. We had a question and answer period. We had 2 vendors come in. One of the vendors needed cooking facilities that we didn't have for them, so they wanted to prepare food on site. Our kitchen won't be sufficient for that. So I don't know why they chose not to bid, but they did not bid on the contract. The only company that bid was CKC, who is a leader in the community in terms of charter food service. So they come very well respected, and many of the schools in the area use them, and they are strong references. So the idea that I had to send in a signed letter saying that we followed the non-competitive process, that was because we only had one bidder, so we didn't go through the whole opening of the sealed bids and doing all of that, because there was only one. So we are all in compliance from MDE. Shawnee's got all the documentation where they've said, you're good on this, you're good on this. So this is the contract moving forward. And yeah, I think they will be very helpful for us.
So let's start with a motion. We need a motion to approve. So that's what we're doing right now. We're approving CKC as our food vendor. All right, is there a motion for that?
I can make the motion to approve CKC as our food vendor.
I can second.
Thank you. Any conversation or questions, thoughts you have as you look this over? Big deal. It's exciting.
I think there's a lot of kids, hungry kids that will be happy, and parents that will be happy that they're not having to pack food every single day. Staff is allowed to eat there too. You have to buy, there's a whole state statute around, I had to sit through 3 hours training on this. You do have to buy the lunch.
That's fine.
But you can buy the lunch.
But I have to remember to pack it up.
Any other thoughts, questions? Okay, so all in favor of approving CKC as our food vendor for the 26-27 school year? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Right, Polar Athletics, we're going to move that to February for our minutes. Last thing, I guess, the PSEO agreement.
So I'd just like to add to this, we've been working really hard to try and get PSEO contracts. This one is one of the bigger ones. There's also one with Imber Hills. It's going to be below the contracting threshold. But what I would request of the board is to approve MSA entering in as many of these PSEO by contract situations as we can. It does give us back our ADM, and it does save us a significant amount of money. The contracts are very standard, so it's not like each contract is not a lot different than the one before. But as we get these opportunities, it's a great way for us to save a lot of money. And students are going all over the place now because they're taking classes online. So we've got kids taking classes at colleges that I've never heard of, but they're in the PSEO system. Some of them will offer us PSEO by contract, which in those cases is particularly beneficial for us, because the only point in time where we start to lose money on a PSEO contract is if a student is like above 15 credits, there are a few students that are above 15 credits, but that is certainly not the average. So on the average, we come out ahead. And these smaller little colleges are never going to have the kids being full-time there, because they're usually just taking a one-off class that they couldn't find somewhere else. And Ms. Gravine will continue to work with them about how hard it is to have transfer credits from 7 different colleges when you're a freshman. But in the meantime, they are allowed to do that. It's legally allowable, and it's financially beneficial for us to have as many of these PSEO contracts as possible.
So this is not the Century College one, where a lot of
No,
our
you-
students, this is just.
You guys already approved that, so that
Okay.
one goes. That one is a combination of, I think, 4 different
Right.
colleges. Inver Hills has just reached out to us, that's not in the board packet, they would like us to enter into contract too, so that's why I would like the motion to be able to enter into as many PSEO contracts as feasible.
And we don't lose money if kids don't go here, do we? Like if they don't choose to do the online through the school, we don't lose anything?
We don't lose anything, what we do is we pay for the credits. So if they sign up, we pay for the credits through the contract. That's a good question. If we don't have a contract, we lose ADM. And so we lose more money in our ADM than we do paying out in the credits.
But if the student chooses not to go to that particular school, it doesn't hurt us at all.
No, it doesn't hurt us. I mean,
So-
and we don't have, like, the U of M does not do PSEO by contract. I'm never gonna try and discourage kids from going to the U of M, even though it costs us more money. It's a great opportunity. The money doesn't guide our advising of the students.
It just helps us if we do have a contract with them.
It just helps us if they do choose to go there, if we have a contract.
So to clarify, this vote would allow us to, when the one student says, I want to go to school Q, which no one's even heard of until now, we can write that contract up really quick.
Right, so that just gives me the
Okay.
ability to approve the contracts for PSEO.
Okay.
So the contract that you're seeing here, what I'm asking is that you just approve that I can enter into PSEO by contract
Okay.
with any school that it's feasible to do that with.
So we need a motion to approve MSA to enter into PSEO by contract with as many schools as possible.
Yeah, and I could do the state schools, state of Minnesota schools.
State of Minnesota
but
schools.
They're the only ones that we can do it with, but kind of contains it.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I will make it because I remember when I brought this to the then administration about doing PSEO by contract. And I think it's a very smart and wise thing to do. So until we get college in the schools, I'm very happy to
All right.
do this.
Would you like to word it out, Mary, or do you want me to?
I move that we approve Kate to enter into PSEO by contracts with any institution that brings one forward to us, provided that they are located within the state of Minnesota.
Conversation, questions, thoughts?
Oh, second.
And then seconds.
I'll second that
Oh,
motion.
yeah, second.
I
Isaac, thank you. Now,
A
questions,
second, yeah.
questions, thoughts, comments? Such a long process either, Isaac, it's like that was Teddy.
I was trying to
catch.
Kate, just for reference, how many students do we have not, how many students do we currently have PSEO under contract? And I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Well,
off the
and you
top of
don't
my
need to
head.
bring
I mean,
this, I guess, for future. Can you bring that to us maybe in next month, sorry, it's been a really long day today. Could you bring it to us in next month's report? How many students we have under PSEO contract and what kind of savings that means for MSA?
I can, I'll send it out in one of my updates.
That's fine too. I mean, I just think, for those of you who weren't on the board before we started this or weren't following the board, it might be beneficial to kind of know
We
the
do,
benefit.
Repeat your request again, I'm sorry.
That she report out to the board how many students we currently have under PSEO contract. And out of all, how many PSEO students we have, how many are under contract, and what kind of savings that has equated to for MSA.
I mean, just off the back of, just, we save hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
every year with that.
So your request is informational, not guiding the voting on this?
No, not guiding the voting, but just as a point of reference, so we know the importance of these contracts and the financial background that they provide.
Absolutely.
Anything else? All right, we will vote. Jen, would you like to read back what we're voting on?
Yes. The motion was to approve Kate to enter into PSEO contracts with any school that brings one forward, provided that they are in the state of Minnesota.
All in favor?
And it's, I'm sorry, I should say, and it's fiscally responsible to do so.
And we should probably just change from Kate to executive director.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You need to restate.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, all right. All in favor? Aye, opposed, abstained, motion passes. Thank you. Caitlin, to close the meeting, do I need to adjourn? Do we just close?
Yes, so you'll say, that you're going to move into closed session, pursuant to the appropriate statute, and then the time at which you're adjourning. And then I'll stop the streaming. And then when you return, you'll just say that you'll start the streaming again, or I'll start the streaming again. And then you'll say that we're reopening from the closed session at such and such time. And then typically you would provide like a statement summarizing what happened during the closed session.
Great, can do. What's the statute that we're?
It is 13D.3, 13D.5 subsection 3.
One more time.
13D.03,
Okay,
13D.05, subdivision 3, to evaluate the performance of an individual who is
under, subject to its authority. It's
Okay.
being the board of directors.
Okay.
Do
So,
you wanna, do we wanna have Caitlin wait, or do we wanna just turn off the streaming and then you can make the closed session statement at the next board meeting? It doesn't matter, but it's just a matter of how long does Caitlin need to stay?
It doesn't matter if you feel comfortable restarting the streaming and finishing out the minutes and agenda without me. So that's up to you guys.
It makes no difference to me, it's just.
yeah, I'm okay with, you don't need to stay, Ryan, you're out, say, doesn't need to stay.
Get home.
Yeah.
Does somebody know how to restart the streaming?
I don't think we have.
We have to, as they were saying, is we'd come back, and that's what I'm concerned about, the legality.
Or can I just say
Yeah,
it
like,
in the
close.
notes?
Mm-hmm. I'm concerned on the legality of not restarting the streaming,
At the end, don't close it.
because we haven't adjourned the meeting. We've
Right.
moved to closed session, but we haven't adjourned the meeting, so then it's,
Okay.
so I think we have to restart streaming. I know that hasn't always happened, but I don't think we've necessarily done it.
Maybe you can show us, Caitlin, how to do it, please.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so I am going to close our session pursuant to the appropriate statute 13D.03, 13D.05, subdivision 3, to evaluate the performance of an employee under our jurisdiction. All right, so we are going to reopen our meeting from our closed session. It is 8:50, and we just completed our closed session where we went over the mid-year evaluation / review with our executive director. We talked with Kate about the areas where we are seeing positives and all the hard work she's doing, and areas that people might suggest for growth as we go forward. The rest of our meeting, we have future board items on the list. We will be voting on the equity audit action steps in February. We'll be approving the 26-27 calendar and survey committee formation. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I still move.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right, we're done. Thank you.